Doing something for someone has changed to building something with someone.
Can you leave it 1% better than how you found it?
What other resources can we bring to them, and who might we be able to bring into their lives to support them?
Alone we could strive, and together we can thrive.
No organization creates change alone. The most lasting impact tends to come not from one hero effort, but from people pulling spaces, skills, and communities, and choosing to build together rather than compete. So today, we are talking about collaboration, how partnerships, shared spaces, and community have helped these organizations amplify their impact, and why working together is so often more powerful than going alone. In this session, we speak to Marlene Rothschild, who leads the Foundry, Suyin, Assistant Director and Head of Social Programs at the Bettr Group, and Daniel Yeow, the founder of the Social Space. Three organizations that have grown by opening their doors, sharing their platforms, and building community around them. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to the Impact Lab at the Good Weekend. I am Jolyn, your official impact storyteller, and everything you'll see from us this weekend comes from one question: how do we actually define what doing good means? The founder, the maker, and the person on the ground usually use one same word, but they rarely mean the same thing. These conversations aren't about who is right, they're about translating between them. And today, I have got three people who carry different pieces of that. Let's get into it. So first off, we have Marlene. Let me know what's your name, your role, and what Foundry is all about.
Yeah, thanks, Jolie. I'm Marlene. Most people call me Marlene because I have a very confusingly spelt name, but I'm the director of the Foundry. And the Foundry is a social impact hub. Very simply put, it's a place where people who are like-minded and wanting to do good come together, but they do it in unlike ways.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Daniel. Introduce yourself and what the social space is all about.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I founded the social space 8 years ago with my wife Cheryl. So we are basically a multi-concept space that brings together retail and F&B. Basically, we are like a lifestyle hub. So we make conscious living accessible to the general public.
Nice. And we have Suyin from Bettr Group. Introduce yourself and who are you at Bettr and what does Bettr do?
Hi everyone, my name is Suyin and I'm currently the Assistant Director at Bettr Academy, which is part of Bettr Group as a whole. What we do for the past 15 years have been trying to use coffee as a way to change lives. A big part of that is really thinking about how we can be better for the planet and for people through our academy, through our coffee pop-ups and any way in which down to buying coffee from farmers and ensuring that they are being paid living wages as well.
Nice. Yeah. Actually, Bettr Coffee is also at the Foundry.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We're resident of Marlene's team here.
That's great. All right. So I have each question for one of you. So for Marlene first, the Foundry is a shared home for people building change. What actually happens when you put all of them in one roof?
Yeah, I think the question actually is what doesn't happen. So we've got 170 people, 32 organizations that are here, and it really runs the gamut, right? So on any given day, I've walked up before and heard a string quartet rehearsing, and that was one of our founders who is also a musician bringing her community in. Everything from just seeing two different organizations, a funder and a charity, also grabbing coffee and figuring out what does doing good better together look like.
And who is in the building in a typical day?
Yeah, so kind of like hinted at it. So we've had, we call them residents.
Okay.
And there's 33 different social impact organizations that run the gamut of different social causes, visions, missions, anything from like youth facing adversity to seniors facing isolation. We also have funders in this space. So Fire Tree Philanthropy, Majority Trust, which is the organization that I'm from as well. Philanthropic organizations are here. And everyone that works within their own networks. So communities, volunteers, families and friends, they all come through this space.
For today, the Good Weekend, we also see so many different vendors out there in the flea market just outside our podcast room. So I think that's really the work of what Foundry does, as well as the social space. Give us some idea on what happens when you put so many different small medium enterprises brand in your cafe, and why do you want to share this space? Like, what was the heart of that?
I think when we started, we wanted to showcase social enterprises or impact businesses. We wanted specifically a physical space so that people could discover, interact with the brands. We realized that, number one, I think the perception of a brand that was created by a social enterprise wasn't necessarily good. So people were possibly buying out of, they were using the sympathy dollar. So they were buying because maybe they supported the cause. But we wanted to change that mindset, right? That social enterprises or impact businesses could create products that were aesthetically pleasing, functional. It didn't also matter whether people knew that the product was ethically made or had an impact. We wanted people to buy it also because as a commercial product, it could stand on its own. And when you house these brands together, then I think it's also easier for members of the public to at a glance, be able to see what these brands can do. So it's actually easier for consumers to
Understand.
to shop. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe what does a good partnership with the social enterprises look like for you in the social space?
For a lot of the brands, for example, some of them are new. There needs to be feedback from both parties. In some cases, we are able to help them with marketing. It could be simple things. We are at that stage where the brands are not fully developed. So the issues that we face are of a new startup most times. So it could be as simple as managing stock or what your visual merchandising should look like, how a display should be done, how much stock you should carry, how you should price your product. So where we can, where possible, we try and help with that. But I think the biggest thing that we help them do is we try and help market the product.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So a lot of the newer brands don't have the reach that we have, we've built over the years.
Yeah.
So we try and use that to tell their story. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that. And let's move to Suyin. So Bettr works through a lot of partners and community groups. Where and where does Bettr sit in the bigger picture?
Thanks for that question. I think I'm sitting across two of my very, very lovely partners. Bettr works with over 200 partners.
Wow.
We have community partners who refer individuals through to us for employment opportunities. We sit at the intersection of bringing more people together. We like to think of ourselves as a convener of sorts, where we help lubricate conversations with coffee. It's always a nice way to kind of bring people together. And I think more importantly, we see ourselves as really thinking about not just our work alone, but also bringing people along. And I think part of that is also thinking of the social issues that we deal with the individuals that we support, but also more importantly, kind of offering spaces where we could also vulnerably speak to other organizations, right? And talk about the challenges, being an employer ourselves, being someone who works in the system. I think the goal for us is always being at intersection of things, right? And trying to bring the right people together.
I have a personal question. What was that like from the beginning? Was it very difficult for the battle to start, or how was the story like?
Pam founded it with a small team of individuals who are really passionate about thinking differently about businesses. And I think from what I've always understood, that it was always supported by the people who believed, and started with the founders and then followed by the staff, really. I think every single employee who are part of the organization, it's making a very intentional choice to stay with the organization, to grow it. And I think along the way, we were very fortunate to have institutions along the way that supported the work as well. But I think it really started with this mission where we really wanted to see how we could use business as a place to, or a vehicle, right, to truly produce viable commercial products that taste good, feels good, and at the same time, if you know about the story, then hopefully that will help us build our community that really cares about the things we care about.
All right, let's move on to the work itself. I think we have kind of overlapping words already that were mentioned before, but I think this is more of your actual work itself. For Daniel, you host dozens of small brands and they are all put together usually in your cafes, right? Yeah, so what does real collaboration ask of you to these vendors that going solo for them would never work?
Actually, the space that we created is really meant for collaboration. We have some, for example, we have some products that we developed, some in-house brands, but it was, everything is still largely based on supporting the ecosystem. So discovering new brands. Actually, a big part is beyond helping them develop their product is to also see how some of these brands can give back. We have encountered brands, for example, who would like to leave some kind of lasting impact through their product, but they don't know how. Whereas for others, it's quite clear cut. For example, if it's a brand that is made by people from underserved communities, but there are others who truly want to give back. So that's where we also guide them to see how they can do it in a meaningful manner.
So never had any competition feeling towards one another at all?
No lah, not especially not. I mean, amongst the retail brands. So I think one of the things that we also do is because we recognize that our space is quite limited. We try and curate products that don't overlap. I think if we had a larger space, then the situation might change. But for now, we try and focus on a few brands. So for example, they could all be lifestyle brands, but we wouldn't carry maybe three candles. They might support different communities, but we are also conscious and mindful that commercially we want to ensure that no one kind of cannibalizes the other.
See. Okay, understand. What about Marlene? A shared space only works when people trust one another. How do you build trust between organizations that might otherwise see each other as rivals as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, I think Daniel and Suyin have kind of touched on it a little bit. So I'll build off Daniel's last point, right? Where he's thinking about how to make sure brands don't cannibalize each other. And for me, that brought to mind this quote one of our early residents, one of the OGs, Bettr, actually said, where he talked about the space carrying a mindset of abundance for our residents. And what does that look like through the Foundry lens is really, how do we steward a finite resource like space, responsibly? Because there's only so much space to go around, and it's very easy to say, I'm just going to go chase as many dollars as possible and sell as many residencies as possible. But actually, we're very mindful about that as well. And we think about how do we maintain a diversity of social causes, because we believe there's a lot of power in there. And then to Suyin's point earlier, talking about, sharing vulnerably, that was also one of the reasons why Bettr it was a no-brainer for us, that we wanted them to be our cafe, but also our residents, right? So it's in the day-to-day. So we look for individuals who have shared values, who have a willingness to figure it out, because we are always figuring things out, and who understand that being part of a community is being a giver as much as you are a taker. So it really is, how do we interweave moments of vulnerability, of people being able to get to know each other on an individual level so that they can work together as organizations.
Nice. And I think it's a very nice lead into Bettr. Is there any moments of very successful stories of someone's lives change completely and some others where it was not as successful as the others?
Actually, it points to the kind of partnership that we have here. I think about 20 to 25% of my team is comprising of the individuals that we work with through various programs, but specifically the holistic training program that we've been doing for 15 years. And I think what really points to a success is when we actually journey with an individual and we actually support them through. I've got many stories, and we don't usually like to use the word beneficiaries, for example, because they are our student and then eventually our staff, our colleagues, right? So one example of a success I would say is we've had a student who referred from his organization, Kita Hatch at the Foundry, and then they wanted an opportunity to explore a career in F&B.
I see.
And after they trained with us, we actually worked very closely with Daniel to place them in a space at work. And it's been 3 years, and
3 years, yeah.
we've still been working with each other. The story tells two things, right? One, a lot of the trust and the vulnerability in the successes of the individuals extremely personal to us as well. From time to time, whenever we catch up, beyond checking with each other, we are also checking about the individuals we worked with, the students, our employees, our colleagues who have been, through the many doors that life has to offer. So that's a story that would be something I'm extremely proud of. And for the individuals who really struggle because of circumstances, then I think we're always constantly thinking about who else, what other resources can we bring to them, and who might we be able to bring into their lives to support them.
All right, let's go to the last section on asking all three. So I termed this section asking all three because I'm going to ask the same question to everybody, and you're going to give me your answers based off what you have already written on your paper and anything that you want to kind of chime in through the conversation that we have currently. Okay, so the first question is, what does social impact actually mean to you? All right, so Marlene, you want to go with it and show camera your very pretty face?
Yeah, absolutely. No pressure going first. Guess I'll show you this. Probably can't read my handwriting, but I think social impact for me means about working towards a common good, because I'm a former rehabilitating corporate girly. When I would think about that, it's like, can you leave it 1% better at the minimum, right? Than how you found it.
I see. That's a very nice quote. What about Daniel?
Social impact for me, or at least my definition, has changed over the years. The topic today is actually a lot more relevant to where I am now. Okay, so it says changing lives and perspectives on impact. I think when I first started, and when people ask me what I used to do, I would say, I provide a chance, an opportunity to people. So I do something for someone. And I think that doing something for someone has changed to building something with someone.
That's very nice.
Which is the idea of collaboration doesn't just extend to partners and vendors that we choose to work with. I think the same logic goes to, where should we open next, even with our staff, right? Do we just merely give them an opportunity to employment? Or do we try and nurture and grow them so that they gain something out of it as well, other than just an opportunity?
A lot of leadership qualities to kind of embed into other people. Right?
I hope so. I think it's something that is sorely lacking in a lot of the more corporate. I think that's why I left. Like Marlene, I was formerly in the corporate world, but that's quite some time ago. But I'll never go back there.
I see. That's nice. Okay, what about you, Suyin?
Yeah, actually, I want to just echoing off what Marlene as well as Daniel shared. What I wrote was being, 100% unreasonable and really trying to make the world a better place. Like Daniel, that has changed in my time doing this work, largely because so often we think of making impact as in we are solving something or we are trying to give a solution. What I've learned, and from my partners here as well, is that it's really about thinking of how we could, when we enter spaces or when we build something with each other, that when we leave, we're going to ensure that when we build with the community, that we leave it better. And in fact, that they thrive without our existence. So I think a big part of what social impact means to me also is that we will work ourselves out of the business. Right? There's no need for us to do this work.
You don't need to label us as a social enterprise.
Yes. Yeah. And that, that's inclusivity everywhere, and people want to work with each other because they care, right? And are curious about each other.
All right, so we're going to our last few questions. This is something I'm really curious about because you guys work so closely together for so many different events, for maybe even shared spaces. So tell us about a time or a core memory from each of you that working together made your impact bigger than you could have done alone as an entity.
I shall go first so that Marlene has something less to say.
Nice, I like it.
So, this year is the second edition of the Good Weekend, right? Last year was the first. I think the Good Weekend is a perfect example of how different organizations have come together to contribute towards a much greater cause. Without the Foundry, this wouldn't have happened. And similarly, if you take the social space out of the equation, then it probably wouldn't have happened as well. Bettr has also been, super supportive with the F&B offerings, but through so much more. We've really known each other, and the examples are actually endless. But I think this would be a great example because the number of brands this year, I think we have about over 40 booths. We have workshops, we have things like a heritage trail, and everyone coming together, committing to support various causes, not one cause alone, but something that means something to the various vendors. And I think this is a perfect example. Yeah.
All right, come to the Good Weekend next year, 2027.
I mean, actually, that was probably what I was going to talk about. But, I think when we found the social space and met at Bettr for our very first conversation about the Good Weekend last year, so much of it is just a reminder that when you find the right partners, right, and you really collaborate, they help you stay in love with the problem, right? So you look at like the founders in our space. In fact, the four of us at this table right now, we fell in love with wanting to solve a specific problem, right? And I think along the way, it's really easy to fall in love with your own solution. And then you sort of like have blinders and you think like, the only way to do it is through my way. But then when you find the right partners to collaborate with, it helps to really broaden the dimensions and you start to think about it, and it reminds you and it keeps you on your toes to be like, what is the greater good? What is the common good? And how do I keep staying in love with the problem rather than my own solution? So, yeah.
Marlene has a lot of good quotes.
Thank you. I haven't whipped up Brene Brown yet. But the podcast is still young, guys. It's going to happen.
All right. Okay, Suyin, what about you?
Yeah, I was just going to maybe move this into a fairly personal note as well. And, I think what has been really inspiring for me has always been the fact that for all these collaborations, and the Good Weekend is definitely a really fantastic example of what it means to come together. And I think it's something that we've always been so excited to partner, only because we're also doing it with people that we really, really like working with. Beyond this collaboration, it's all those invisible moments where you'll see us kind of, just picking up our phone and calling each other and say, hey, I've got this thing going on. What should I do about it? Or like, hey, maybe it's time to go catch up and just have her, have a drink or have a cup of coffee. And I think I'm sitting across two people who I just have a lot of deep trust with. Beyond the three of us, there are so many people out there today, right, who have not just dedicated to a cause, but in all the invisible work. It's really in those small things that really tells us about the kind of spirit that we are bringing to the table and the kind of ethos, perhaps, that really makes this collaboration such a beautiful one. So I think maybe moving from how the Good Weekend is actually made out of all these invisible relationships that care for each other and it's curious about how we can do so much more.
Maybe I can offer another example also that involves all three. So the Foundry of Majority Trust, they had a pilot program, right? Where they were inviting charities or social enterprises to apply for, which I completely missed. But it was actually Suyin who recommended that we try, and apply. And as a social enterprise, it's ironic that we do so much work bringing brands together, but Cheryl and I very seldom reach out for help. But we are also at that stage where, running a social enterprise is tough.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And, going through COVID and with whatever retail and F&B is facing, we are doing both. So it's being extra hard. So Suyin suggested, why not try applying for this program? It was really diving deep into how our organization is run. And it was really because of Suyin. So, and the program is run by Majority Trust.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so
we see the collaboration collabing.
Yes. So it's very... Even the Good Weekend, to be honest, I think it was the first time such a big market was run last year. Yeah. And the social space is known for... we do carry some retail brands, but we run a cafe.
Yeah.
We've never organized a market. It's a completely different ballgame. So as Marlene mentioned, we just run, we fly with it, and then we figure things out along the way, right? And I just think that you need the right people to do these kind of things with limited resources, with finite resources, to still create that kind of impact. So that partnership is very important.
Nice. Okay. What does the future of social impact look like for you? Or what do you hope to see in Singapore?
Something I've been thinking about because we're a philanthropic platform at Majority Trust is this idea of patient capital, right? So I think we all have a stake to play. It's beyond just organizations, individuals understanding that they can actually be a huge catalyst for social good. And from, I think, the funder side as well, understanding that you're in it for the journey. Right. And that the journey is never just sort of like linear, and it's not like, okay, great, I'm going to solve this problem immediately through this one program, but rather that it's sometimes, one step forward, two steps back. And what does it look like to really, really be serious about journeying alongside organizations, individuals that you invest in, and invest in them beyond just the check, beyond financial capital, right? You go beyond the check and you really are serious about how you support them. So,
I really like the word patient capital. I think you put it very nicely.
I didn't
It's
make it up though.
I mean,
so.
but it's a concept as well.
Cannot take credit for that one.
Yeah, so I think we are at the tail end of our podcast for the first group, which is about Better Together. And I'm going to ask all of us to finish the line. It will be alone we could blank, but together we blank. Anything you want to throw out that really represents the conversation today? So
Okay, I'll go first so that no one can steal my answer this time.
we can say it together.
I thought it was so much worse when I had to go last because y'all had really good answers. Okay, sorry, I can focus. The question is, alone we could survive. Together we can dream bigger and thrive.
Nice.
Who's next?
I thought it was a collective effort.
Oh, it's a collective
collective effort as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm open.
How will we all say it at the same time? What's your answers?
My answer was
Similar?
probably quite similar.
You see copyright.
No, for real. Like I think we're hanging out too much,
Just
guys.
different words.
Yeah.
So mine was alone we can build something, but together we can sustain, or grow.
Actually,
I like
everyone,
that.
let's just go with what you want to say, and then we see what's the consensus here.
Okay, yeah. So I think for mine it was alone we strive, but together we actually it was thrive. That's why I was like, yeah. So alone we thrive.
Yeah,
There's a great pair of socks about thriving outside. I'll just show you later.
Got it.
Okay, should we choose one together and say it out for the ending of the podcast?
Strive and thrive sounds easier.
Yeah. No, let's go with that because I forgot what my answer was.
It felt like a combination of similar
survive.
words that we used. What is one word?
Yeah.
Strive and
Strive and thrive. Can laugh. After this, we'll get t-shirts
you
printed.
Alone
we could strive,
and
together we can thrive.
Thrive.
Thriving.
Okay, I think that's great. I think it was very cute. Okay, that's it for the podcast. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Every purchase has a story, but the one people never see is the many hands and hearts behind it.
Nobody really needs another tote bag. Each snack baggie replaces, at the minimum, 300 bags.
Have to help people to help the environment. Textile recycling, the recycling rate is 3%. That means there's 97% more work to do.